Welcome to the Mild Opinion Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 5, aka Episode 17. I am Logan.
And I'm Luke.
And today we're going to be discussing some of the movies slated for later 2025 and how we feel about them.
Yeah, so last time we did an episode on like upcoming 2025 movies, we hit kind of like July through, I want to say, like maybe through August.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is more for like August to the end of November. We've picked out 6 movies here that we're gonna go through and just kind of talk about what our thoughts are on them and our excitement for them. So, starting off, we have The Naked Gun, which comes out August 1st. It's directed by, I think I'm saying this right, by Akiva Schaffer. And Liam Neeson is the lead as the new Frank Drebin. And I think there were 3 original Naked Gun movies with Leslie Nielsen playing Frank Drebin. And I've always really liked the first and second one, and I've seen the third one once. I just thought it was a bit too over the top.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you and I both feel the same way about this one, where we kind of thought we're a little cold on it at first, like, oh, I don't know what this is gonna be, but as more time's gone on and we've seen like more of what it's gonna be like, I'm kind of like buying into a little bit.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it?
When the first teaser came out for it and it was just Liam Neeson pretending to be the little girl in the bank and all that, I was like, oh, haha, like this is going to be kind of funny, a new Naked Gun with Liam Neeson, cool. But I wasn't, oh well, like it is what it is, you know what I mean? Like, sure.
Yeah.
But then as I've seen like the new like full trailers for it and like all the stupid bits and stuff from that, I'm like, oh dude, I think this is going to be really funny.
I think, yeah, it looks like they're doing... I feel like there haven't been a lot of comedy movies like this recently, but it looks like they're leaning very heavily into that just like utterly stupid and ridiculous humor, and I love that. I loved it about the original ones, but like Liam Neeson, from like the stuff I've seen, seems like he's doing like a good job of like pulling off that persona of like Frank Drebin, and I think he's like his son in it. And so yeah, at first I was like, Liam Neeson and Naked Gun, like what? But now I'm kind of like, I think I'll have to see this. Like I think it's one I'll have to be there for.
Yeah, and also I feel like, at first I was like, wow, like Liam Neeson, like that's cool, whatever. I like Liam Neeson. And I thought about it a little bit and I'm like, compared to like most of his other roles, I think it's going to be so funny just seeing him do all the stupid stuff that he's going to be doing in this movie just because I'm like, like it's just good. Like the movie itself looks so silly. And just to think about Liam Neeson doing all those things, I'm like, dude, no way.
I know. And yeah, like you said with like the little girl thing the first time, I was like, this might just seem like it's going to be like trying too hard to do it. But now with like the longer trailers we've seen, I think it's shaping up to be, I think like it'll be worth the watch, so I'll have to go see that.
Well, and I'm hoping, because in the newest trailer they showed like a lot of the jokes and stuff already, but I'm hoping that just means that it's so filled with like stupid funny jokes and stuff like that I was just like, oh yeah, like here's a little taste of it. Like I don't want it to be one of those things like we talked about before where the trailer like shows the entire movie.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of jokes that it showed in the new trailer, and I'm like, hopefully there's a lot more to it, and I'm not just like, oh yeah, that's what's going to happen in this part.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, moving on from there, the next movie I thought we were going to talk about is Weapons, which comes out August 8th. It's a horror movie. It's directed by director Zach Cregger, and its leads are Julia Garner, Josh Brolin, and Brian Tyree. And I think this movie looks interesting, and I've thought that since its first promos came out. It's the one where, if you don't know what movie we're talking about, you might have seen promos for it where there's kids who like run with their arms kind of at this weird angle. And it's basically a whole classroom of children, which it looks like Julia Garner is a teacher in it, is the teacher for, just vanishes one night at like 2:30 in the morning or something. Mm-hmm. And there's footage of them all just like getting up and leaving their home, and nobody knows where they went. And I don't know what this is going to be, it seems like it's going to be supernatural horror, but I've been very interested in this since it was announced, and I have no idea why it's called Weapons.
From the very beginning, this has been one of the like fall releases that I've been more excited for, just because like the teasers for it looked so cool. The trailer, like the full trailer that came out for it, looks awesome. It looks super unique, and also it's just like, you know, like what even is this gonna be? Like, how is this happening? What's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because also, as much as it's like a horror movie, it also looks like it's gonna be like a psychological thriller kind of thing. Because Julia Garner's going through it, and she's trying to figure out, like what happened to my students. You know what I mean? And then from the trailer, it seems like people are blaming her because it's like, what did you do to make all of your kids, leave? And then, she's having issues with it, and the town's having issues, but yeah, I think it's going to be super interesting, even though I'm not really sure what to expect from it.
Yeah.
But this is like what we were talking about when we done like the horror movie stuff. Like, it's stuff like this that really intrigues me because it's more than just your typical, oh yeah, here's this. It's just going to scare you the entire time. It's just going to be like jump scares with like ghosts.
Yeah.
So like this seems like there's more to it, and I'm really curious to see what it's going to be.
Yeah, me too. And especially like Julia Garner has really started to take off recently. Like she's starting to be in a lot of stuff, and I haven't seen a lot of it. I've mainly been familiar with her because she's a main character in the show Ozark. But like for her taking off a lot, I think she's like a draw to this because people are starting to recognize her by name and by her look. But also that Josh Brolin is supposedly one of the leads in this, and I think Josh Brolin, people think like Josh Brolin, they think Thanos, but in the serious roles I've seen him in, he's very good with serious roles of all sorts. So I think they have some very strong leads, and I think that only makes me more like enticed by whatever this is going to be.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing that kind of gets me is like the actors in it are very good, but also just like the not knowing, like having an idea of what it's kind of about, but not knowing like what the direction of the movie's going to be is very intriguing to me.
Yeah.
It's like getting me excited for what's to come with that.
Me as well. So moving on from there, the next movie that we had up that we were going to talk about is The Long Walk, which comes out September 12th, is directed by Francis Lawrence, and its leading cast members are Ben Wang, Cooper Hoffman, and Mark Hamill, and I think the only one I'm familiar with of that is Mark Hamill, which, nothing wrong with that. I always like new actors coming into the fold, but I think you know more about this one, so I'll let you kind of take the reins here.
So, this is based off of a Stephen King novel, and the story is basically like, it's like a competition where, there's one winner, and, if you win like a whole bunch of money and stuff, like a life-changing amount of money. But the premise of it is like there's, this whole group of people trying to win money. It's a competition, and you have to continuously walk. And there's like, military people, or I don't know if it's military or, people driving in front of you slowly with guns. And if you stop for, I think it's like more than 3 seconds, then they like kill you on sight until there's one person left. And the whole movie it looks like it's just going to be like about the people during the walk and all that. And it seems like what a part of it's going to be is like while they're all competing, I think it gets to a point to like they're like talking and stuff throughout like this walk and all that, and they start to realize like, oh man, all these people around me are going to die. Like if I win, it's either like I win and all these people around me die or I die.
Yeah.
And then they start to feel for each other, and like you see parts during the trailer where someone like stops to tie their shoe, and they're like, come on, you gotta get up, just keep going, you know what I mean? Like, come on, you gotta, even though they're in like a competition, they realize they're like, oh man, like this is wrong.
Yeah, this kind of, to me, it's kind of like a Squid Game premise too, where it's like this like wild situation where people will get killed for stuff in a competition for money.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I guess I haven't paid attention as much to the trailer, but is it just them walking straight, or like, are there obstacles or like?
No, it's just like them walking down the road.
Okay.
I'm not really sure how it is, like, you know what I mean? Because obviously they'll have to deal with, like, the weather changes and stuff like that. Also, they don't sleep. You know what I mean? They can't sleep because they don't stop at all. It's one continuous walk through the night, the day. They can't sleep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if they give them, like, something to eat, like snacks or something or what.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, they walk. They can't
They
stop.
just keep walking. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely does it. I mean, like Stephen King's like does all sorts of stuff, but I'm like, that's kind of an interesting thing that Stephen King came up with that, because I'm like, that seems like something where a lot of people could have been like that film. So I'm like, what about it will make it stand out as like Stephen King? Because you know he's like if you ever go to any store, I feel like a lot of times you walk by something, it's like Stephen King's new release, and it's just a book, and I'm like, how are they even deciding what of these are they making into movies? So
Yeah.
I'll be curious, like, what made somebody be like, I'm gonna make that into a movie.
Yeah, well, and also, you know, at face value, you know, it kind of just seems like a movie about a competition. People die. They're doing it for money. They're walking. But I'm sure that it being based off of a Stephen King novel and all that, like, there's going to be more to it, probably. Like, there's going to be some, like, weird reasoning behind it, or something, like, bad's going to happen, or something. You know what I mean? Like, I can only assume that it's not just going to be a group of people walking for a whole, you know, 2-hour movie.
Yeah, and maybe there's more to that they just want to show you the premise without getting too far into it, which goes into something we talked about in our Can't Stand It episode, is when trailers show you too much of what happens. So hopefully in the case of this movie, it hasn't shown much of what happens after they start walking, other than like people are going to start dying. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting premise. That's September 12th. Okay. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But after that, we are jumping to Him, which is Jordan Peele's next movie. This is his fourth movie. It comes out September 19th, and its leads are, oh boy, Lyra Withers, Marlon Wayans, and Julia Fox. And this movie, I'm still not entirely sure what the deal is with it, which I feel like is the case with movies of his that have come out. When they've been coming out, you can't really tell what the movie is going to be. But this one, I'm really like, we know it's about football players, and we know that it's turning into murder and some weird, like, culty kind of stuff. So I'm very curious to see what this is, and like, knowing Jordan Peele, he usually has sci-fi aspects to his horror that make it more not like super crazy sci-fi concepts, but like sci-fi in a very grounded way to make it not just like a horror story, but also like, wouldn't it be terrifying if this could actually happen?
From my understanding, at least from the trailer, what I could gather is that the main character, it looks like he's like a college football player, and Marlon Wayans is an ex-pro football player who becomes sort of like his mentor. And then it seems like as he's like mentoring him, he brings him into some more like shady kind of like culty stuff, like, you know, murder and stuff like that, like doing like these like horrible things. And he keeps telling him like that's what he needs in order to become like a pro, become the best. You know what I mean? Like, you got to do these things. And it seems like it's just gonna kind of be like, kind of like a like metaphor on like Hollywood and stuff like that, like how people bring up like selling your soul to become like a famous actor or whatever.
And that's another thing I've thought about. This is like, it seems like it could be something where it's like, you know, like, oh, you do these bad things for us and we'll make you famous, but like, we'll know that you did these bad things in case you ever out us or whatever. So I'm like, is this going to be the Illuminati? Is it going to be, I don't know. I do think it will be like you said, like allegory for something though, because like that's been like the reputation of his first three movies is like in Get Out. There's so much like symbolism in it, and in Us there's like Hands Across America and all that symbolism, and then I'm still very confused by the premise of Nope, of what's going on in it, like how the two things correlate, other than like one character has experienced both of the scenarios that are occurring, but this one looks very interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I feel like, we don't really know, like you said, like, is it like the Illuminati, or is it, because also, like, talked about how he includes, like, subtle, like, supernatural aspects and stuff like that. Is it, like, actually, like, like, culty, kind of like a deal with the devil kind of thing, or, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. But I think it's going to be interesting regardless.
Yeah, and his movies, if nothing else, are, like, entertaining, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, I think any Jordan Peele movie is worth watching at least once to make your own opinion of, so that's definitely one we'll go see. Alright, this next one is Black Phone 2, which comes out October 17th. It's directed by Scott Derrickson, and I have not seen the first movie, but I know that Ethan Hawke is the main horror figure in it, so I'll let you start us off with this since I have not seen the first one.
Well, for starters, I really do want to go see this one when it comes out, just because I saw the first one and it was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, and I don't want to spoil anything for you since you haven't seen the first one, but the way that the first one ends was a very fitting end for it to just be like, all right, that's it. This one, it may be good, it may not be good, I'm not really sure. It looks like it might be all right, but the first one was so good that I'm sure it'll draw people into watching it, because also, the first one was a huge success, made a lot of money. And this one kind of feels like they're milking it a little bit, especially with the way that the first one wrapped up. So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want them to ruin it, which, I mean, they can't take away the joy that the first one brought me. So.
Sure. And can you fill me, like, don't tell me, like, what happens in it, but tell me, like, what the premise is in the first one. Like, I don't really know what the deal is of it.
The first one, it's just about, like, a small town area, not like small town, but it's not like a huge city or anything, and it's back in the day. I think it takes place in like the 70s, 60s or 70s, I think. And these kids just start getting like kidnapped, like they're going missing, and they don't know who it is and all this. And then it's him, the grabber is what they call him, but he takes them and he locks them up in like his basement and like keeps them there. And yeah, it's just kind of weird.
As does horror movie villains do.
Yeah, and then there's like more to it than that. Like it's like becomes like supernatural kind of and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's like the way that they do it's like really cool, and also there's some really spooky parts in it. But it's like it's a good movie. Like it's definitely worth the watch. Which is kind of why I'm hoping that they don't ruin it with this one, because it wrapped up pretty well the way that it ended.
Sure, just no need to overdo it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the way that the first one ended, like the supernatural aspects that they shown in the first one, it seems like they'll be able to use that to where this makes sense. But also, it's just kind of like, I don't know if we needed this. I didn't really expect this, but
sure. All right. Well, interesting. I based on your movie taste by movie taste, I probably should watch the first one at some point and to understand what you're talking about of saying like it's being milked and stuff, because I don't know how the first one ends or really anything about it. So that'll be one. And also in our discussion about horror movies, talking about horror movies with a good draw to it, apart from just trying to be scary or anything like that, or what get us. So
it does have a very good story.
All right. Then I will give that a shot at some point. But last but not least, we have the third installment in the Now You See Me franchise, which is titled Now You See Me, Now You Don't. It arrives November 14th and is directed by Ruben, I want to say, it's pronounced Fleischer. And all of the original cast is returning. plus I think some new cast members and some of the returning cast from the second one. This is another franchise. I've just seen the first one. I haven't seen how it picks up in the second one, but I know I definitely enjoyed the first one just for the fact of it being a fun, like, trickery magician heist movie. So yeah, I guess I'll have to watch the second one before this one comes out because I know it's getting a lot of buzz right now. But what do you think about this movie coming out?
Well, I loved the first one. The second one was pretty good as well. I love both of them. They're both very entertaining, and also, I mean, a heist movie where everyone does magic and that's how they get away with it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I will say that I'm kind of not necessarily worried about this one because I'm sure they'll still be good. The premise of these movies and like the acting in it and stuff, it's all so cool that like, you know, I don't think they can go wrong. The only issue that I can see is like the original cast coming back plus a whole bunch of new people and all that. I'm like, I don't want this to get like super overloaded. Yeah. But if they do it right, I think it could be pretty cool. Because I mean, I guess they kind of have to because you don't want to just see the regular cast doing another heist because then it's like, well, you just made the same movie 3 times.
Yeah, and I don't want it to also, like, without having seen the second one, I don't want it to turn into something that it's not supposed to be. Mm-hmm. At face value is an interesting thing to explain to somebody. It's a heist movie, but the people who are robbing are criminals. And not only that, like, you find out pretty quickly, at least in the first one, that they're blatantly robbing somebody, but they can't figure out who. And it's like a big part of the story is like, where are they getting all this money and how are they making people get into bank vaults that are supposedly across the world? Like, yeah. But I guess that's like the whole point of it. And that's the whole point of like any movie about magicians is like, you're not supposed to understand how or what you're seeing until a certain point in the movie. So, yeah, I know, and too, like, these movies are pretty goofy, too. They have, like, good humor to them, and the cast is, like, really kind of just, like, very charismatic, and especially they have, like, huge names in this, so they have, like, Dave Franco and, like, Jesse Eisenberg and Woody Harrelson, and I've been becoming a bigger Woody Harrelson fan as time's gone on. But also they have, like, Morgan Freeman and Mark Ruffalo. And I know at least in the first one Michael Caine's in it. I don't know if he's in the ones after that.
I don't know if he's going to be in the new one.
All right. But, yeah, that, I think makes... It'll probably be worth the watch. I just hope they don't overdo it or try and turn it into something it is. Yeah. And then one more thing I'll talk about is... just because we went and saw it recently, in terms of just like 2025 movies that come out that we didn't cover in the first one, was we just went and saw 28 Years Later. And what did you think of it, having now seen the first 2?
It was good. It was very well made, and like I was drawn into the story. It was cool. I don't really know. There was like parts of it that I thought were a little too much. I know a lot of people are divided on it because they were like, the first half of the movie was like so cool with like them going out and like hunting and all that stuff, and you know, him and his dad doing whatever. And then they come back, and then I know they were kind of disappointed about the end, how it was like him and his mom, and it was more of like a drama.
Yeah. Well, yet another movie which I have not seen the precursors to, but I enjoyed it for what it was and knew kind of what the deal was in the first 2, so it really was not hard for me to jump into what's going on, and even if I had no idea, it doesn't do a bad job of making it clear to you what's going on pretty quickly, so I enjoyed it a lot. I think as a just like blind jumping into it without knowing what's going on, I understand it if for people who have been like long-term fans of this, if they have more issue with it. But I think we can both agree the ending is just a lot of question marks of like, not only just like where the heck did this come from, but also like, why is this the way that this is happening? Like, that's really bizarre.
It was also just like a complete tone change from the rest of the movie, and like not in a good way.
No. It would have been one thing if they just like. Well, I won't go too far into it, but just something happens at the end of the movie, which is. I feel like if I was to explain to somebody what happens at the end of this movie without them having seen it, they wouldn't believe me.
Yeah.
It's just.
If you gave them a summary of the entire movie, and then at the very end you're like, oh yeah, and then this happened, they'd be like, you're lying. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that part didn't happen.
Yeah, it's like, quit lying to me, man. But no, that's what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens, for some reason.
But yeah. I think that covers us for our 2025 movie slate for today. And this has been our 17th episode, right?
Yep.
All right, well, this has been the Mild Opinion Podcast. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.